Hello and welcome back to Teaching Math. In this video, we'll learn how to multiply and divide powers that share the same base. Let's get started. Multiply and divide powers with the same base. That is very important. We have algebraic expressions in here, x, which means a number that is unknown, and numbers. Let's go ahead and start with multiplication rule. The rule is when you multiply exponents with the same base, that means you have to add the exponent. When you're dividing, you subtract the exponents. Well, what does this mean? The first example is x raised to the third power times x raised to the fourth power. So why are we adding? So the rule is saying that we have to add the exponents. So this means that we add 3 plus 4. So that will equal x raised to the 7th power. Well, let's check our work. Are there 7 x's that are multiplied by itself? So let's go ahead and first expand this one. X raised to the third power means x times x times x. And let's go ahead and do the second one, which will be x raised to the fourth power, so multiplied. That means we're multiplying the x 4 times. And if we count, we can clearly see there are 7 x's multiplied. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, this is the reason we're adding the exponents to show how many x's are multiplied. So let's go ahead and do one example on your own. So I'm going to write your example. So let's go ahead and say a raised to the second power times a raised to the sixth power. What would that equal? Pause the video and try it on your own. Okay, welcome back. Let's see if you got it right. So our rule says that we have to add the exponents. Let's go. A raised to the second power plus 6. And that should equal a raised to the 8th power. Hopefully you got a raised to the 8th power. You can also check your work. Let's now dive into dividing numbers with exponents. The rule is subtract the exponents. So let's try and understand what that means. Okay, I'm going to erase this. Example 2. 5 raised to the 6th power divide 5 raised to the 2nd power. So in your book, it might be written like this, like a fraction, which is okay. Both ways, I'm going to show you what to do. For this particular one, so we already know that fractions means division. So it says that subtract the exponent. So that means I have 6 minus 2. And that should equal 5 raised to the 4th power. We're going to try and understand why are we subtracting. So let's go ahead and do that here. Same thing. So 5 raised to the 6th power minus 2. And this will equal 5 raised to the 4th power. Okay. Right, so let's expand so we can see if we're doing it right. So there's 6 5s at the top and 2 5s in the bottom. And so if you divide 5 by 5, it will equal 1. 5 divided by 5, it will equal 1. Then we're left with 4 5s. And then we can rewrite that as 5 raised to the 4th power. Let's work on our third example. Y raised to the 8th power times y raised to the 2nd power divided by y raised to the 5th power. This seems a little bit more complex, but again, we're going to use our knowledge about the exponent rules. So multiplication means that we're adding the exponents. Then for division, we're going to subtract the exponents. Of course, we're going to follow the order of operation rule and start from left to right. First, it's multiplication, which will be adding the exponents. 8 plus 2, which will equal y raised to the 10th power. Then we're going to go ahead and do the division, which will be subtraction, y raised to the 10th power minus 5, and that will equal y raised to the 5th power. Here's another way you could have done this and achieved the same goal. In math, it is very important to organize your information, so solving it is much easier. So to me, when I'm rewriting this expression, I can rewrite it like this in order to simplify. Let's go ahead and show you. So I could have written like this, and I feel like this is much easier for me to organize the information. And sometimes you will see some problems that look exactly like this. And from here I can say, okay, since I have multiplication at the top, I'm going to follow the multiplication rule, which will be adding the exponents. Notice the base stays the same. And in the bottom, I'm going to keep everything the same, obviously. And then go ahead and do the addition. So there will be y raised to the 10th power and y raised to the 5th power. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the division rule, which will be subtracting the exponents. And now there you have it. Y raised 10 minus 5 equals 5. Y raised to the 5th power. As you can see, we got the same answer, but information was organized just a little bit differently. You choose how you would want to organize your information. Let's go ahead and summarize what we learned and write the rule down. So, multiplying and dividing powers. When we're multiplying, we're adding the exponents. So let's go ahead and say multiply. And write the equation. So a raised to the m power times a raised to the n power means we're adding m plus n. That is the rule for multiplication. Let's go ahead and highlight it. And for division, when we're dividing, that means we are subtracting. And let's go ahead and write the rule. A raised to the m power divide by a raised to the n power means we're subtracting the exponents. You can also rewrite this as a fraction. And it will be the same thing. All right, so if you want another example, go ahead and work on this example, which will be m raised to the 5th power times m raised to the 6th power, and then m raised to the 7th power divided by m raised to the 3rd power. Go ahead and pause here and answer the questions and come back for the answer. And this means if you follow the multiplication rule, we're adding. That will be m raised to the 11th power. And for division rule, that means we're subtracting the exponent 7 minus 3. That will be m raised to the 4th power. Great job! You just learned how to simplify exponents quickly and correctly when we're dividing and multiplying. Next up, we will look at powers of monomials when the entire term is raised to a power. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Teaching Math for the next step. And remember, learning math takes patience, practice, and perseverance. See you next time.